that being said, let's get into this topic. You feel me? Where do thoughts come from? Right? That's the question I have for y'all. And if y'all got Chat GPT, I would love for y'all to pull up in the panel and pull up Chat GPT so we not being subjective, so we can get down to the objective facts of the matter, right? So where do thoughts come from? What do you think, Beasley?
Thoughts? I'm trying to think because I do know it. Um, where does thoughts come from? Shoot, that's a good question. I gotta think for a second. I've been running all day.
Cat
Um,
official said the subconscious.
Peace,
That's
truth
a good
hurts.
that's a good answer. Let's see what other answers we get.
No, what is it
Thoughts
though?
are
Give me a
generated.
second.
Pull up in the panel though, man. Like y'all, I don't want to read the comments. Pull up in the panel if y'all can. You said thoughts are generated in the brain, which is composed of 100 billion nerve cells that transmit. Divine Empress said the mind. What mind? Whose mind? Josh, what up? Artistic, what up? Mar, appreciate the follow. Busy like I'm thinking. Peace, cat. How you doing, Reflection?
Hey Jax, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Hey, to busy.
Truth,
Sorry, I
truth
don't know
hurt
what to say
said
there.
from the ether. Mar said thoughts are not from the brain. The brain does not help. The brain does help the process though. Thoughts are from the mind. The mind is consciousness. God is self.
Yeah,
We getting close, but
Well, if it's from the
we're not
mind, then
spot
they're from the
on.
brain. Like, where else would they be? Mm,
it has to
Say it again,
be.
cat.
that's a bit contradictory. So Mars said that it doesn't come from, they are not from the brain, they are from the mind.
Consciousness.
Isn't the mind the brain?
No,
Right, the
Like, where
mind.
else would
No,
those thoughts come from?
the mind. The mind and the brain are kind of separate. The brain is the processor. I guess you can say they're the same thing. The brain is the processor. It's the hardware. Let's do this. Let's do this. Before we go into it, I want to give y'all sort of a metaphor or an example as to how this works, right? Like she teaches us.
Mm.
Let's take for instance a radio, right? The radio would represent the hardware or the receiver of information, right? The radio has an
Mm.
antenna on it. That antenna acts as a transmitter for airwaves to come through for that radio to transmit those signals for us to be able to hear the sound that it's emitting. Now, where is
Mm.
the signals or the airwaves coming from for the radio to process?
it has to be.
It depends where you're located. If you're like radio frequencies, it depends where you
It
are and
has
where
to be
you're going to
God's
receive
mind.
them. I don't know.
Okay, so look,
It has to be a main source. It has to be a
right,
source. A
I
right.
get what
What
you're
main
is the
saying.
source.
source?
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Who
What
So
is
is
the
we
the source
are.
source?
that what is the source that the radio is using to receive the signal or the
Oh,
sound of the airwaves?
satellite. The satellite, right?
The brain is, oh, the mind is the receiver,
But the
right?
brain is through
Or
God.
yeah.
God's mind. Yeah.
I don't know. This
But
is
let's focus on the radio first, because the radio is going to show us how the human being, how the
True.
human mind
True.
works. You feel
True.
me? So where does the
but then
signal
we
for the
could
radio come
say
from?
wherever we are in the world, like we receive different radio frequencies wherever we are in the world. So we might not always be receiving the same message or
All from the.
frequencies. Do you know what I'm
We're
saying?
all one.
Like there's only people in that certain radius that is receiving certain frequencies
The
where they are
cells.
like geographically. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm just I'm just trying to think.
There's one source. What's the
Do
source of
y'all
the
have Chat
radio? Then?
GPT?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I can't do it. I'm on the phone.
Okay, BZ, you got Chat GPT. Look up on Chat GPT if you can. You got another device?
I'm gonna have to. Let me see. I'm have to do it off my phone real quick.
Okay.
And what you want me to put in?
Where does the radio receive its signal from?
All right.
Oh, he went off.
I think he's just looking it up. But let me ask you something then, because
Okay.
according to where you are geographically, it's like where like there might be like a radio receiver, like the frequencies, I don't know, the hertz, all that stuff, right? Are you saying that that's how we receive messages from like, or are you just using that as an example? Is that what you're trying to say?
I'm using it as an example so that we can go deeper into it.
Example. Got yeah, because I was a
There
bit
you go.
confused.
That's what they said. They said a radio
Oh.
receives signals from a radio waves transmitted by a radio transmitter, which is usually part. Let me see. Let me see if I can get the rest of it.
Right. It said radio receives signals from radio waves transmitted by a radio transmitter. The radio is the transmitter, right? It receives radio waves, but where are those radio waves coming from for the radio? Right? You know how the cell phone has a
They're
cell
going
phone
through
tower?
the atmosphere, right? They're traveling, right? So they're going to the receiver, right? They're
Right,
going through the.
but there's a specific source that the radio is using to get those waves.
I don't know. No.
It gets it from a broadcasting source, the radio station. It's a tower that the radio station uses to broadcast those
Yep.
signals.
I
And
just,
the radio
I just
has
pulled it up.
and the radio
It
has an
said that.
antenna, right?
Yep.
The radio has an
Yeah,
antenna
right.
that it uses as a transmitter to pick up those sound waves,
Mm-hmm.
right? Those sound waves are turned into electromagnetic waves, sound waves for the antenna of the radio to pick up to emit
Rock.
the frequency out of the radio, right? So when it
Yep.
comes to the human brain, the radio is the receiver, the human brain is the receiver, right? We are the receiver, like the radio.
Mm-hmm.
Our brain is the actual antenna that's being used as a transmitter to send and receive signals from our environment. So when I ask you, where do thoughts come from?
Environment.
You might say, okay, the mind. But where's the mind at? You feel me?
Environment. Babylon. Yep.
Now look.
You know what? I'm
Kat
gonna say
said-
that.
What Kat said earlier, she said the subconscious mind. She said the subconscious, and that is absolutely correct. Our thoughts come from the subconscious. The subconscious is AKA the quantum field of infinite possibilities, right? Our thoughts come from the field. Mind you, you know how the radio has a radio station and it has a tower. The human being has a tower. What is the tower for the human being to receive its signal from?
Brain.
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 No, the brain is the antenna,
Oh yeah.
The
cells,
receiver.
The spirit.
which is the receiver. The brain is the antenna, which is the receiver. It's receiving the information. It's receiving the waves, right? That's why we got brain waves, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
That's
receiving
true.
What is
waves.
the receiver? What is the
The
receiver?
brain.
Oh, okay.
You are the
But
receiver.
is it the antenna and the receiver at once?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because the antenna is nothing but a transmitter. It's sending and receiving signals from its environment, which is the subconscious, aka the quantum field of infinite possibilities. Now, the tower for the human body or the human antenna or receiver is the sun, right? But the sun is a less condensed version or a less condensed form of what? The quantum field, the mind of God, which is encased in darkness. The sun acts as a less condensed form of darkness of the quantum field. It acts as a vacuum it transforms those signals from the field into electromagnetic waves. When you hear electromagnetic, that means light. The sun is light. It sends those light waves and projects it down on the earth onto the planet for us to receive it, right? We're receiving our thoughts from the field via the sun. The sun is our tower. So our thoughts are coming from the field, the quantum field, and our tower is the sun. So our
Yeah.
thoughts come from the quantum field of infinite possibilities. Now, with that being said, you know how a radio has a tuner, and you can go to
Mm-hmm.
certain stations, and that would determine what vibration you are on, what frequency you
Broadcast.
are
Yep.
on. What
Yep.
is the tuner of the human body?
That's a good
What
one.
is the tuner of you? What helps you tune into those signals and emit those into your reality?
That's a good one.
Helps people tune into that. I don't know, meditation,
The
like
brain. Yeah, the
somehow.
brain.
DJ Alcoholic said the brain. Remember, the brain is nothing but a processor.
Spirit.
The brain is picking up
Is it your
signals.
spirit DNA? Your DNA,
The
your
DNA
melanin?
DNA is the mind, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but that's good because DNA is the astrological program. So you right, Beezy. Your brain, which is the
Oh
antenna,
yeah.
the processor, the
Yep.
receiver, is picking up signals from the environment. But what's
Mm-hmm.
able to interpret those signals is the tuner. Your
Astro.
tuner is your astrological
Oh
program or
yeah.
your DNA.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It makes
So
sense.
Okay. Astronom what do you, that's the DNA. That's how you process information in your body, right? Is that what you're trying to say?
yes, the
Like
brain
once
uses
you
the brain
receive
uses
that, you're gonna process it through your DNA in whatever
Mm-hmm.
yep. Once you receive those signals,
negatively, or you can process it positively. Right.
right,
Is that
depending
right?
on
Am I
depending upon your astrological program or your DNA, that's how you're going to interpret those signals or tune into it.
okay.
That's what that is your tuner. Your DNA or your astrology, your natal chart, it's what's going to allow you to tune in to those frequencies. And that's going to determine what brain wave or what frequency or vibration that you are on, which is going to give you your reality, right?
It's true. That
So
makes
your
a whole lot of
Yeah,
thoughts
sense.
I'm
come
following.
from the field.
Okay.
It comes from the field.
That's dope.
You see what
The
I'm saying?
field is
That's so dope. That
the
makes a
field is
whole
the
lot of
brain,
sense.
the
The
antenna,
field the field is the darkness, the quantum field of infinite
Mm-hmm.
possibilities, God's mind.
the
We are
Mm-hmm.
all
sun,
genetic.
God, everything, like all that.
Everything, the darkness, the
Yeah.
void from
Okay.
which we all come from. We all are living inside of God's mind, which is the subconscious. We are the subconscious, and our thoughts come from it, right? Just like in epigenetics and biology, your
Mhm.
environment, which represents the subconscious, the field, regulates your perception and your behavior. Your perception is your awareness. You follow me?
Okay. Let me ask you something because
Okay.
we know the difference between reality. Most of us live in reality, right? And then we have a subconscious world where, like, that's our dream world. That's not what I think of like subconscious. It's a dream world, it's an imaginary world. And then we have a reality, you know. I don't think those two worlds collide.
Now,
There's
now let
one
me
and there's another.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm
now let
saying?
me ask you this, Kat. When you went to sleep last night, you went into a dream, correct?
Yeah.
What made you think that when you woke up today that you didn't enter a longer dream that you call reality? What makes you think that this is real?
We're in the matrix right now. I never remember my dreams. I never remember what I dream about when I'm in that parallel universe or whatever you guys talk. I don't remember it ever. I've never remembered it. This is why it's a bit
Right.
confusing. There's a lot of people that remember their dreams, maybe
Mhm.
can recall some stuff. I never can recall. On very few occasions, I've really remembered like a dream. If it's very vivid and it's maybe like
Mhm.
trauma, you know what I mean? Like, then maybe I can remember it if I've woken up out of a dream. But for the most part, I don't remember that part of it. And maybe that's part of the mystery. Like, you're just not supposed to know, you know? Mm.
Well, this is a
It's
dream.
also confusing. I don't mean to be
This
difficult, but I'm just trying to like get my head around it. It's like we have a subconscious world or life where we that might be reality. and I'm living right now, talking to you guys right now. This could be a dream.
This is a
Do you know,
dream.
see what I'm saying? And
It is a
in my
dream.
dream state, that might be my reality. I don't know. But I'm conscious now. I can see your faces. I usually don't remember anyone's faces. I don't remember any conversation. I just know something.
So, but let me say this. Reality is a dream. And the only way that you can be conscious in this reality, which is a dream, is if you know that life is a dream. So you say that you're conscious, but you can't be conscious. Conscious means that you're woke. You're aware. If you're not aware that life is a dream, then you cannot be conscious. That means that you're unconscious. You're still in the
I don't
subconscious.
believe. I don't believe life is a dream. I think what we do, like what we're doing right now, is actually like a a test. I guess this is hell where we are right now. This is what we're doing right now is testing our ability to understand the world, come to terms with it. And I think the next place that we go is going to be, I don't know, like a better place for us, like a more where we can understand things. I think most of us that are in this world right now, we don't really understand why we go through certain things, why we get tested in certain ways.
Let me
Every
ask you this.
reality is not a dream.
Hold on, Atum. Kat, let me ask you this. How are you able to
Mm.
see this reality? What's giving you this reality?
Because I'm in this human form, I'm in this body, I see you, I hear you, I can
Are you
connect
in
with
your
you as a
body?
fellow human being. I think in whatever the world that you're trying to talk about, I've never been able to like connect with those people. So how can you connect with a world that you can't connect with? Do you see what I'm saying?
Bing, bing,
I see what
bing.
you're saying, but let's slow down real quick. You said that you are inside of your body. Where are you located inside of your body?
In my mind, in my brain.
So if I
That's
so
where
if I
all
opened up your
thoughts
mind,
and processes come out of my brain. Yeah.
so if I opened up your mind, I would be able to grab you from out of there.
Well, no, because I'm a biological being. Like you can't just go in there and just grab me. Like I'm not a spirit. Well, maybe I
So
am.
you wouldn't
Maybe you might not be able to do
so
it.
you,
Maybe someone with other powers
so you
could do
wouldn't
it.
be
But
inside of your body.
yeah,
You said you're in your mind. So if I can't go
yeah.
inside your mind and open you up and grab you out of there, that means you're not inside of your mind, right?
No,
Like
but
for
the
instance,
mind doesn't work like that. You can't
just
grab
follow me.
consciousness out of someone's body like that.
When you go to sleep at night, do you take your body with you?
No,
So how are you inside of your body?
Mm-hmm.
no. I said in this world. When I go into that world, the subconscious. You're trying to trip me up, right? When I go into this subconscious world, I don't take my human body with me. I'm in a dream like state. Like I don't know how to explain it to you. My body doesn't
So
come. If something happens to my body in that world, it's not going to reflect in this world, right? Do you see what I'm saying?
watch this. So
It's,
and you when you go to sleep and when you go to sleep, you close your
Mhm.
eyes. What lights up your dreams when you go to sleep?
I
What
don't know.
lights up your
I don't
dreams?
remember. Like I said, I don't remember my dreams. You might have to ask someone else that question. I
No,
don't
no, no, no.
remember my
I'm
dreams.
not. I'm not asking you to remember the dream, or if you remember it. I'm asking you what lights up your dream. What gives you your dream when you close your eyes and you go into darkness? What lights up that dream?
It's not a
Even
dream.
if you
It's
don't,
I'm going
even
into
if you
a
don't.
no. I'm not going into a dream state. I'm going into a sleep state. It's just darkness. You know
Which
what I
is a
mean?
dream
I
state.
don't
We
I
can we
don't
can
close my
we can
eyes
look
and
it
I'm
up.
automatically in this like world of like dreams of like that for me that's not what happens to me. Maybe it happens to other people, but that don't
So
happen to
when you
me.
go to sleep, you don't go into it. You don't dream.
I don't think I do sometimes because I don't ever remember my dreams.
What do you do if you don't
So I just
dream?
go into
This
like
morning,
a
please.
darkness, a
What do you
sleep
do if you
state.
don't dream?
I probably do dream, but
Please.
I don't
You're living
remember
in
them.
God's dream. You're living in God's imagination every day.
Hold
You
on,
are
hold on,
living
hold
in a
on, hold
dream.
on, hold on, hold on, hold on,
Okay,
Tune, hold on, Tune.
please.
Because
Yes.
I want to make sure that Cat understands this, right? Because when we go to sleep,
Mm.
whether or not you remember the dream or not, you go to sleep and you go into darkness and you go into a dream state, right? That's why we have brain waves. You go into a theta state, REM sleep. These are realities or dream states that you go into when you go to sleep. Now,
Well,
when you go to
that
sleep,
would be an assumption that we all share the same, like,
Took yourself out
subconscious
of your
then.
body.
That would be saying that you go into a
Yeah.
dream state. I might go into like a comatose state where I don't dream about nothing.
See, these
a
are
Like
young
maybe
guys.
comatose
my
state,
brain
a
can't
comatose
do you
state.
know what I mean? Like you're assuming that we all have the same experience in that subconscious state,
I'm
which
not. I'm not
is
saying
I
that.
I
I'm not
couldn't tell
saying
you
that.
yay or nay, but I'm just saying for me, no,
Cat, and this is
I
why,
don't
and this is
remember.
why I asked you if you had Chat GPT, so that you're saying for me, so we don't be subjective. We want to get to the facts of the matter, right?
I don't need Chat GPT to tell me what I experience every day that I go to
Well,
sleep. I
how
really
can you
don't.
follow? How can you follow along with the lesson and understand what we're talking about if
No,
you
no,
don't
no.
want to
And that's the thing.
use?
If most people feel the way that you do, I'm just saying for me, I don't know. Maybe I have a different subconscious or I have a different experience. Like to say that
Well,
we all have
you
the
do
same
have a different
dream-like state
experience.
is a bit.
What's giving you your
I said
experience
I don't
though?
remember. So we could, but I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna assume. So
Okay, look, listen here,
maybe
listen
if
here.
someone else
So
can
when we
talk.
go, so when we go to sleep at night, you go into a dream room. Your thoughts is what's lighting up your dream world, right? In this reality, the sun is what's lighting up this dream world. The sun is a symbol for your conscious mind. It is your mind in this reality. When you go to sleep, there's another sun there that represents your mind, but it's actually your thoughts. And your thoughts, like I said, is coming from the sun. And the sun is a less condensed version of the quantum field of infinite possibilities, which is that darkness, right? So you said that you have a different experience. We're all having different experiences. Absolutely, because we all have different tuners. We all have different astrological programs that perceives the waves or the brain waves or the signals from our environment that we're receiving. We interpret those different because you grew up in a different environment. I grew up in a different environment. Beezy grew up in a different environment. Atune grew up in a different environment, right? This is what's giving us our programs and our perception on what reality is. I can't hear you, Kat.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
So this goes back to your earlier example about receiving radio waves. Depending where you are, we all maybe receive different things, right? You're in the States, I assume. I'm in the UK. I might be receiving different messages than you. We have different receivers, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Antennas. The way that we're programmed, our DNA is maybe a little bit different. I'm African. I don't know where you. I might receive certain frequencies different than someone
Mm-hmm.
else, and that's all right. You know, I'm just saying it's
Yeah.
okay for us not all to have the same perception
No,
or the same experience. That's all I was saying.
none of us have the same perception and none of us have the same experience because we have different tuners. We have different programs. That's what make you different from I. Although we are all one and we are all a part of the subconscious mind, which is God's mind, what makes you and I different from each other and makes us perceive life different from each other is our tuners, your natal chart, your DNA, the
Our
genetic code.
environments, also our environments, like I think the subconscious. When you talk about the subconscious mind, it is actually determined by the conscious mind. So I think the conscious mind actually determines how the subconscious mind actually receives information. Like, because our conscious mind is the one that's actually out here experiencing real emotions, real life, real experiences. You know what I mean? Our subconscious mind doesn't have children,
What
doesn't
now,
have
Cat?
spouses.
Cat,
Like
I want to ask you
it's
this.
a different thing. Like our subconscious mind, we can think about anything. We can think that we're riding on dragons in fucking Narnia, but that doesn't make it reality. Our reality is our conscious mind, right? You see what I'm
Cat, let me ask
saying?
you this.
Like, I don't
Let me ask you this. What? How much of your reality does the subconscious rule?
none.
N- Now look. Now this is what we're gonna do because that's a subjective answer because that's not true. So I'm gonna look it
It's
up
my
for you.
answer. It's my answer.
95% of your reality,
My
right?
answer.
Exactly. The
You
subconscious
asked
mind
me,
runs
and he's gonna tell you
95%
something,
of
but
your
that's my
reality.
answer. No.
Hold on, Cat. You
Would
keep
you hang
saying
on a
your
minute?
answer.
Atum,
You keep
are you living
you
in
keep saying
some
Hold on, Cat. Hold
Matrix,
on, Cat.
where
Hold on,
your
Cat. Hold on, Cat.
subconscious mind is like
Cat. Hold on,
ruling
hold
over
on,
your
hold on.
conscious.
And this is why we gotta use. Hold on, hold on. This is why we gotta use. This is why we have to be using facts. You feel me? We can't have a dialogue. Oh, this is my perception. Your perception is your subjective experience and your subjective opinion on what reality is. Nothing is real. Reality, what is real? BZ, I'm going to ask the chat, what is real? What is real?
Nothing's real besides your
What
own.
is real is the electrical signals that your brain is receiving and interpreting. Nothing is real. Electrical signals are light or electromagnetic waves that you're receiving from the field. Nothing is real. We are dreaming, thinking that we are existing in this reality, but truly nothing is real. Light is what? A less condensed version of darkness, of dark matter. What is real is what your five senses are picking up and what your tuner, which is your astrological program, is perceiving and interpreting to give you your reality. You are projecting your reality into existence just as the radio does. The radio receives sound waves or electromagnetic waves from the broadcasting tower, which is its source. And the antenna picks those up and it translates that and projects it out of the radio. This is how your body works. Remember, your mind works. Your brain is the receiver. It's the radio. It is the processor and the antenna. You pick up electromagnetic waves, which is light from the field, the quantum field of infinite possibilities, God's mind. You process those thoughts and interpret that through your software, through your astrology. And you project it into your reality. The brain is a projector of information. It is a transmitter. It sends and receives electrical signals, right? Not only is it receiving the signals from its environment, but once you receive it and you pick up the information, the software of your body, which is the DNA or the astrological program, is being used to perceive it, and then the mind projects it out of your, it projects it into your reality, right? These, your eyes are not eyes. These are optical lenses. These are monitors to give you your reality. Nothing is real. Everything is being experienced inside of your mind. The concept of you having a body and looking at your body is false. It's not real. Your body, you're not inside of your body, Cat. Your body is actually inside of you. You see what I'm saying? You're not inside of that body. That's why I asked you when you go to sleep at night, do you take your body with you? No, you don't, because you're not the body. You're the mind that's projecting and giving you the body. Y'all follow me? What are
All
and the
fact.
subconscious mind? And the subconscious mind runs 95% of your reality. You're only conscious of what your astrological program allows you to be aware of, right? We are all a part of DNA, right? DNA is God's mind, like Chief teaches us. That is the subconscious. Everything collectively together is the subconscious. Now, we are all, our conscious mind equals the peace of God's mind that we are experiencing, right? That God is experiencing through us, which is your astrology, your astrological program. We're everything, but within the illusion, what makes us different from each other is the fact that we all have different ways of perceiving reality. You follow me? Exactly. We are all in a dream. We're projecting reality, and our thoughts is coming from the field. You may think that your thoughts are inside of your mind, but you're not. Your thoughts are not in your mind. Your thoughts are coming through you. Just, you feel me? Just like the radio, the sound from the radio, it's coming through the radio. It's not in the radio. It's being streamed and coming through the radio and projected out into this existence. You said every conversation you have with anyone is just you talking to you. Absolutely. It is you. Absolutely, Money B. That's spot on. It is you talking to a different version of you in the parallel universe. It is a different piece of God, a different astrological programming of God. We are all different aspects or different nucleotide sequences on the DNA strand of God, which is the mind of God. And that's what's giving us our conscious mind. You're only conscious of what your astrological program is able to be aware of. Your conscious mind is not running the show. The subconscious mind is. For instance, your body has a mind of its own. Try to hold your feces or your urine for a certain amount of time. Your body's going to do its own thing. Your body is a part of your subconscious mind. Your conscious mind will be the part of you that says, I'm going to get up today and brush my teeth. I'm going to put this shirt on. I'm going to wear my hair like this. Those are your conscious thoughts. But those thoughts are not yours. Those thoughts are coming through you. Those thoughts are coming from the field. Exactly. We said movie equal reality equal perception. Life is a movie, a dream, which we perceive to be reality. And how you perceive reality is based on your program. Right? Your program would be the role that you're playing inside the movie that we call life. You feel me? And then we have to remember, what is perception? I'm glad you said that, subconscious. And it's crazy your name is subconscious. What is perception? And what gives you your perception? Because now we can go and translate quantum physics into biology as well, because these are part of the same, not the same topics, but different studies of the same concept. Right? What is perception? And what gives you your perception? Now I'm going to look it up for y'all. I know it, but I want to look it up for y'all on ChatGPT so y'all know the facts behind it. ChatGPT is a collective data. It is God's mind. It's literally almighty intelligence, like she teaches us. It's a collective database of all of the information that can be possibly had on this plane of existence. Perception is how you interpret reality. It's the lens through which you receive and decode the signals from the field. More precisely, perception equals awareness. So your perception is your awareness. But what's giving you your awareness, right? Your awareness is how you think. Your perception is how you think. And this is what the lesson is based off of. Where do your thoughts come from? Where does your perception come from? In biology, your perception is being regulated by what? Your environment. And environment equals what? Subconscious, aka the field, God's mind. That's what's giving you your perception. We have to understand that because we are cells inside of the body of God. We are cells, right? In biology, Dr. Bruce Lipton teaches factually, this is objective facts, that the cell gets its behavior and its genetic expression from the environment that it's in, which means that its program or its software, which is the DNA, is being regulated by what's going on in its environment. Right? And this is where the brain waves come in, right? You are receiving certain electromagnetic waves or thought frequencies, brain waves from your environment, depending on where you at. Beezy, he's somewhere right now. He in Chicago right now. I'm in Texas right now. We're receiving different signals from our environment, which is giving us a different perception and different behavior. You follow me? So we have to understand where thoughts come from. We have to understand that our thoughts are not just, your thoughts are just not sitting in your mind. They're coming from somewhere because you are inside of you're inside the being of something. We fail to realize that we are inside the mind of another being. We are inside the mind of God. It said in John 1 verse 1 that God used thought, the word, to create existence. If you look into Islam, right? They said Allah said kun kun, right? That's how reality was created, right? Through the will of Allah, right? In the Bible, God said, let there be light, through the word, which comes from thoughts. So God used thoughts to create existence. To think means to what? To imagine. To imagine means to what? To dream. We're dreaming. We're living inside of God's dream, inside of God's mind, in the quantum field of infinite possibilities. And this is what science don't teach us. And this is what Chief has been able to piece together, which makes him a genius, which makes him our Messiah. He has been able to piece it together and help us understand it in simplest form. You feel me? Oh, good looking, Beezy. So we got to understand that we fail to realize that we are living inside of God's mind. God's mind is the field. Everything that you are, you're a projection of God's mind. Just how your reality is a projection of you, of your mind, you're being projected from the mind of God. In the beginning was the thought, and the thought was with God, and the thought was God. Nothing was created that has been created without the thought, without God's thinking. Now, that's what we have to understand. Okay, well, if we're in somebody's mind and our thoughts is coming from the field, whose mind is that? Whose mind are we getting our thoughts from in this field that we call the quantum field of infinite possibilities? Right? We are all different possibilities of God. We are all God, but different aspects, different possibilities, different astrological energies and programs or tuners, right? Like the radio, we're all different tuners. Beezy program, his tuner allowed him to tune into this frequency. Mine allowed me to tune into these brain waves. And this is what's giving me my vibration and the frequency that I'm on. And that's where astrology comes in. That's why we have to study astrology, biology, quantum physics, melanin, and grounding. Because these are the 5 sciences that's going to give you the fabric of your reality so that you don't have to go search and look up a foundation as to how to perceive life. Peace, the real baddie. Peace, the real baddie. Said the white man has got. No, the white man is our lower self. You feel me? The white man is the lower self. He's a genetic mutation of us. The real baddie was good. You can't hear
Sorry, I
you.
better say hi.
Walk about. What's good, reflection? Y'all understanding what we talking about?
I have aphantasia. I had no idea that there was a separate people that actually don't have an analog. I never knew you could fucking have it in a voice ever. I've never got a voice in my head at all, and I didn't even. And aphantasia. Oh well, that's anaduralia is no an analog, and aphantasia is no images. Fuck, I don't even. I've never had a dream, never had a nightmare. I don't visually remember what you look like, but if I do a verbal description, I will. And if anybody wants to do a test, you just close your eyes and can you visualize an apple or the last thing you just looked at? Mine's black. Who are you talking to in your head? Does the voice sound like yourself? Is it your unhealed self? Like straight up, sort it out.
Walk
Because I've
about. Let
never
me
had it in a
let me ask you.
voice.
Do you have Chat GPT?
I did have it on my phone when I done my intellectual property agreement, but I took it off.
Because I want to ask you a question. What does it mean to dream? I'm looking it up on Chat GPT right now so that y'all can see. Matter
Dreams
of
come
fact,
from worry. Dreams come from worry and anxiety. Otherwise, you don't
no.
have them.
But that's not an objective definition of what dreams are. Hold on, I'm about to share my screen so we can get into it. Hold on, give me 1 second.
Well, I know I don't dream, and dreams give you emotions: happy, sad, jealous, angry. You can apparently, when you have a dream, you can go to bed, have a dream that your partner mucked around on you, and you've woken up jealous and angry. Fuck, I've never had those. There's a
Can
big
y'all see
difference
my
between a
screen?
dream and a vision.
Can y'all see my screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Now, what does it mean to dream? Walk about. Can you read this for me, please?
Oh, man, it's really tiny on the screen. Hang on then. I'll just cam off so my face isn't up to it. Oh, no, it's too small for me on my end. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Oh,
I'll
hang
read
on.
it. I'll read it.
Maybe.
It
Yeah, can
says
you?
to
Thank you.
dream. It says to dream is to experience a series of thoughts, images,
Mm-hmm.
sensations, or emotions. Now, the key word right there is thoughts, right?
Okay.
To dream is to experience a series of thoughts. So when you're dreaming, that means that you're having thoughts. But let's watch this. What does it mean to
To have
think?
a thought.
Because
No,
we're
no, no,
thinking.
no. You're mixing up the words. Thinking
Okay, okay,
is
I'll
an
do this. I'll do
action.
this.
No,
What
no,
does
you
it
can't
mean?
put think. You got
What
to
does it
put
mean to
thought.
have a thought? Watch this. It's gonna give you the
Yes,
same
they're two
answer.
separate words.
Watch this. What does it mean to have a thought? To have a thought means to engage in mental processes such as reasoning, reflecting, as analyzing, or imagining. Keyword right
See?
there is imagine. Keyword right there is imagining. Now we're gonna go back up to what I just
Yep.
asked. What does it mean to dream? To dream is to experience a series of thoughts or images. So when you're dreaming, you're experiencing images. To have a thought means to engage in imaging, imagining. That's happening in the mind. So watch this. Now I'm going to put it in. What does it mean to think? To think is the active process of using your mind to generate, organize, and evaluate ideas, make decisions, and solve problems. It involves manipulating information, mental representations, often involving reasoning, reflection, judgment, or imagination. So to think
There you
means
go.
that you're imagining, that you're having imagination. And when you're dreaming, it means to experience thoughts. So everybody that says that I don't have dreams or I don't remember dreams or we're not dreaming, well, to dream means to
Have a
have
look at
thoughts.
aphantasia. Have a look at
Hold on one second.
aphantasia in your chat GPT.
Hold on one second. To dream means to have
Yeah.
thoughts, a series of thoughts. And to think means to imagine, to use your imagination. So when you're thinking, what you do all day, every day, it's impossible for you not to think. Even for you to have a thought, not to think is having a thought. It is thinking. You're dreaming. So life
Have a
is
look at
imagination.
anaduralia. You can't really make a judgment if you haven't had a look at the two things that I'm telling you I have, which only 2 to 4% of the world have. Aphantasia is linked to anaduralia, and that's no in the analog or images. You need to look at it first before you tell me what's the matter, like in about thoughts, because some of us don't have them. And when you do your proper
But walk
research on
about, but walk
thoughts and
about.
go back into
We just
scripture,
walk about. We
mm,
just broke it down though. I just showed you the facts that you said some of us don't have dreams, but to dream means to think. It means to imagine. You're
why won't
thinking.
you have a look on your ChatGPT at aphantasia and anaduralia? Then you'll see what I'm talking about. Otherwise, we're just going to go backwards and forwards. You don't know
No,
about what that is.
we're not going to go back and forth. That has no bearings on what we're talking about. We just came to the fact of the matter that dreaming is thinking, and we're
Yeah,
thinking
but some
all
of us
day,
don't
every
think.
day.
That's what I'm saying. That's
So,
what anaduralia is. It's no in the analog. All you're having is an analog when you do thinking and have a thought. It's
so are
yourself
you not
talking to
thinking?
yourself.
So are you not thinking right now?
No, I don't have an analog. Have a look at anaduralia. You're just gonna keep on
For
going at
you
me,
to
but you
for
won't
you
look at
to
it. If
for you to formulate a word is for you to have a thought in your mind first. You have to have a thought in your mind first for you to formulate
no, I
words.
don't. Like a baby, we just get taught words and I repeat them. No, you're wrong. Have a look at.
And this is what I can't do. Subjectivity.
Emotion.
Subjectivity. We just show facts and objectively that thinking is to imagine. It's your imagination. Life is imagining. Life is imagination. We are dreaming. We're dreaming, reflection. To think means to imagine. Like Chi teaches, therefore, life is imagination. We are dreaming. And all of your thoughts are coming from, right? When you go to sleep at night, you go into where? Darkness. You go into that quantum field of infinite possibilities, right? And then what? You begin to think. You start dreaming. You start imagining a new reality. This is what we are doing, and this is what we are doing right now, right? Just how when you go into the darkness, you pull thoughts or imagine a new reality from the field. Same thing that you're doing in this reality. Your thoughts are not just coming from your mind; they're coming from the field. Just how they do when you go to sleep and go into that other dream realm. It's synonymous with this waking reality. We live within a dream infinitely. We're never not thinking. For you to say that I'm not thinking is false, because to even think about not thinking is a thought. It's you using your imagination. It's your mind using your imagination to process, to give you your reality, to give you your thoughts. So yeah, that's the lesson for the day, man. And I urge everybody to be objective and go do your research, and you utilize ChatGPT. That's why God has given us ChatGPT, so that we can all come to the collective synopsis of what life is. If we don't have an objective understanding of what these things are, then we're, like you said, we're gonna be going back and forth about your subjective opinion and mine. But I'm not giving you my opinion. I'm giving you facts. You see what I'm saying? So that's the lesson for the day, man. Where do thoughts come from? All thoughts come from the field, the quantum field. And your astrological program is the tuner that's being used to interpret the station or the brainwave frequency that you are on, that's giving you your vibration and your reality. You said thoughts are energy. Absolutely, thoughts are energy. But where does energy come from? Energy comes from the womb. Not the vaginal canal, but the womb of consciousness, the quantum field of infinite possibilities, that darkness. Thoughts are light. Your thought is what lights up your reality. The sun represents what? Thought. Thought. And it comes from where? That darkness. The sun is the sun is being ate by the darkness, literally. So energy is thoughts. Thought is light. And where does light come from? Light comes from the darkness, which is the quantum field of infinite possibilities. That's where our thoughts are coming from. Oh, I love that you said that, because you just helped me just break that down smoothly. I appreciate that reflection. You said energy comes from the fields around us. Right. Energy is, and like you said, thoughts are energy, to be icy. And if energy comes from the field around us and energy is thought, that means that our thoughts come from the field. You just answered your own question. The fields around us give us thought. Exactly. That field around us is quantum, God's mind. We are all figments of God's subconscious mind. We are all figments of the mind of the Legio Bishop, and that's God, and that's what we have to come to the understanding of. Once we understand that, okay, our thoughts come from the field, the quantum field of infinite possibilities. Okay, we have to understand, okay, whose mind is that? God. Remember, when you go to sleep in a dream, the person in the bed dreaming is God, right? When you go to sleep at night, you're God sleeping in the bed, but you're also inside the dream. But you wouldn't be able to exist inside of that dream if you weren't in the bed sleeping about it. You have to be present present dreaming about the dream for you to exist inside the dream. Same thing for this reality. For us to exist in this dream, which is God's dream, Atum said we living in God's dream, which is an absolute fact. Wouldn't God have to be present in the dream for us to exist? Wouldn't God have to be dreaming for us?
We live in an Eligio Bishop mind. He's the dreamer. He's the observer of this whole reality, right? But he's not dreaming. He's not sleeping. He came here as the Christ to wake us up out the dream, to let us know that we are not in the dream and we're not sleeping, because he's not sleeping. He's not dreaming. He's trying to free us out of the dream, out of the void.
I follow where you're going. I want to add to it. And I appreciate your comment, and I want to add to it. Chief is the Eligio Bishop, the dreamer. He is actually dreaming. He's not fully woke right now. He's waking up to the fact that he is the avatar of this reality. And we are the subconscious mind. As the dreamer starts to awaken and realize that he's the dreamer dreaming of this reality, we will start to awaken. That's why you see some people attuned, they come up and they don't understand that we're dreaming. They don't understand what life is. They think that this is reality because they're still asleep. She thought a cat came up here and thought that the conscious mind was ruling our whole reality, but the subconscious mind is. But the subconscious is the unconscious. That is the unconscious state of the mind. When people don't understand that life is a dream, this means and shows that we're collectively still unconscious. And that means that the dreamer is still processing and waking up. Just like in the movie Lucy, right? There were certain percentages of being awake inside the reality that she could be in, right? She was at 50%. Then certain things in the subconscious would happen. Then she began to be at 75% downloading. Then more stuff in the subconscious became to be aware that she was in control of the dream. Then she got up into 100% and the whole fucking reality knew that she was the avatar and everything. That's what we're coming into. We're about to understand that Chief is the dreamer of this reality. But when we understand that, it's only going to be because he fully has awoken and downloaded 100% into this reality, to the fact that he is the dreamer and the avatar of this reality. That's when the subconscious mind will completely know that, oh yeah, we're inside of God's mind. We're dreaming inside the mind of the Eligio Bishop. And that's how you gauge how awoke the subconscious mind is in the dream. And that's how you gauge how far the dreamer is into his downloading process of reality.
The Most High, the Elijah Bishop, right? The Most High God, Yahweh, the Elijah Bishop, right? The dreamer of the avatar body, right? He tell us there's about it what you do, keep the knowledge. Meaning though, he like, if you know that this is a dream, right? And you meet the source to this whole reality, which is me, and I tell you, you not sleeping, you cannot die because you are not alive. Then what's that's telling you? You got to overcome, you got to conquer, you got to rule over this reality and understand that, like you said, it's just all a dream. It's a movie. We all
It's
carry
all
this in
dreaming.
God's dream in his movie, playing our roles. Spiritual improv.
Absolutely. Energy was good. Reflection. How you feeling? Peace to the gods.
Peace, peace, peace. I like
How
that
you
title,
feeling, man?
man. It's something I would have had. I like it. I like that.
Yeah, yes,
I like
sir.
that mindset. Where do
What you
thoughts
take
come
from that?
from? Uh, Shit. When I think about where the thoughts come from, I had this question a lot. Um, to be exact, I fully don't know. So what I'm gonna say is I think. You know what I mean? So I think that thoughts come from well, I was told that it's like what's that word? I don't know if it's called the Akashic Records. I don't know if that's what it's called, but we pull to the fourth dimension. We pull from a certain plane where everything already exists, and you know, through that plane of thoughts or imagination, you can pull it from that plane to this plane. Um, some people draw it out, draw it on the plate. I guess if you, whatever you try to create or writing a story, pull it down, draw it. Oh, my fault, my fault. I bet my manager said something, but yeah. But that place of where these things are at, I believe it was called the Akashic Records. I may be wrong, but I think everybody kind of have access to that place. And yeah, I'm still learning, bro. That's why I came in to see what everybody was thinking. You know what I mean? I'm still learning, good brother. I don't
You
want
you
it's a little complex.
you on the it's not too complex, you feel me? Because we can break it down. You was on the right track when you said the Akashic Records, right? What is this? What is the basis of this reality? It's subatomic particles. It's light.
Remembering.
It's subatomic
Go ahead.
particles, light. Subatomic particles, light. Everything that you see is light. But where does that light come from?
The darkness. You can't even have the light without the
And
dark.
what is that darkness?
That darkness is hidden information. Light is information. Darkness is hidden information, but it's only dark until you in the know.
The darkness is that mind of God, the quantum field of infinite possibilities, where all things come from, the womb of consciousness. So when I ask you
That's
where
why I
do your
said
thoughts
hidden
come from?
information.
So when I ask you where do your thoughts come from, they come from that field, the quantum field, that darkness. When you go to sleep at night, you go into where? Darkness. And what lights up that reality or that dream state that you go into when you go to sleep is your thoughts. But those thoughts come from where? Darkness. They come from the field. Now let's translate that into this waking reality, which is light, but that light is coming from darkness, right? I used an example earlier of a radio, right? The radio is the receiver. The brain is the receiver. The radio is receiving sound waves or electromagnetic waves, which is light, from a broadcasting tower, and it's translated into sound to electromagnetic waves, which is light, and the radio projects that out into our reality, right? Same thing with the human being.
Gotcha.
The human mind, the brain is the receiver. It is the radio or the antenna that's picking up the electromagnetic waves, which is light, from the field, from the darkness. When you close your eyes, where do you go? You go into darkness. You go right into darkness. So we're picking up these thoughts, and our astrological program or our DNA, our genetics is being used as a tuner, like the radio, to give us that vibration or the frequency that we are on in this reality. Some people say that our thoughts come from our mind, but our thoughts don't come from the mind, because the radio frequencies are not inside the radio. The frequencies inside the radio or being transmitted out of the radio is coming through the radio. So our thoughts are coming through us from the field, from the quantum field of infinite possibilities.
I like that perspective.
You feel me?
I like that perspective. I mean, one thing I came to learn that this phone you're looking at, like you looking at, like, all right, if I get on Facebook, you're literally looking at that round in a sense, because it, like, if your post that you posted is coming straight from that round, leaking it onto this tablet, and then you hit post. But it's like it's straight from your thought plane to the tablet, back into whatever plane, because this is a space. This is a space.
Back into the field.
Right. It's like a loop
Metaverse.
type of. I can't explain it, bro.
It's
Right.
It's the universe interacting with itself. Just how me and you are different aspects of God's mind, we are different possibilities of the quantum field. We are one essentially, but we're different. We're different versions of each other in parallel universes as God interacting with itself.
Right. That's why I try to tell niggas. Niggas ain't trying to hear that.
That's what I'm trying to tell niggas. That's real. That's real. Well, you intelligent. You intelligent. I like the analogy that you use, because that's right. Your mind sends the thought to Facebook and projects it onto Facebook, but from Facebook it just goes back into the field, because the thought, if you opened up Facebook, your thought that you sent to the phone would not be inside the phone. It's back in the field. It's back in the void. But even your thought came from the void. So it's the void interacting with itself. Well, that shit deep.
I don't know why I talk about this shit all day. I don't know why.
Y'all gotta see the movie Thunderbolts. They put this shit right in there when it was talking about like how Sentry turned into the Void and shit. They put this shit right in that movie.
You said
They gotta
Thunderbolt.
see.
I'm gonna have to go check
Yeah.
that out. I'm gonna have to check that out. But we was also putting down, you feel me, that your ability to interpret the possibility of the field that you are is your tuner, like a radio. The radio has a tuner that gives it its certain vibration or frequency that it's on. Your tuner for the human being would be your astrological programming, your DNA. That is your way, or the brain's way of processing and interpreting the thoughts that it receives from the field. And we all have different ways of perceiving reality, but that's just because we all have different programs and was raised in different environments inside of the field, which gives us a different way of perceiving or interpreting the codes or genetic codes that we get from the all. That's why it's important for us to study astrology, because astrology is going to show us how our minds is shaping and manifesting our reality, how we are able to stream and interpret God's thoughts in our waking reality through us, because we are vessels being used for information to come through. It's not coming out of us, it's coming through us, because our bodies don't exist. Our bodies are actually inside of our mind. It's a figment of our mind's imagination. Our body's inside our mind. We're not inside of our bodies. So everything is coming through us. Just like our thoughts of what we look like, even that is being streamed from the field. But that's due to your astrological program, which is the tuner of your radio, or your processor, which is your brain. And all of that come to the point that we're dreaming. We're dreaming.
Look,
You feel me?
look now. Look real quick. I asked the nigga, so I'm like, you got your first eye, or what they call that third eye. I'm like, yo, how are you seeing with your physical eyes? Right? And I told him, he was trying to explain, like, no, bro. The light comes in and hits this small piece that's all the way in the back of your eye, and then you project outward. You're really projecting what your body, your brain is interpreting what it thinks is around. So like in another aspect, and then you have to remember what you are seeing, or you ain't seeing shit. Seeing works on remembering, because
But watch
you
this.
can be in front of me, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But let me add this to.
Real quick.
Go ahead, King.
Real quick,
Go ahead.
I'll forget it. If I'm in front of a nigga, I can be like, bro, his eyes wide open. Like, oh my bad, bro. I was somewhere else, bro. I was gone. He's in front of me, but I'm doing like this because he's really gone. His mind is somewhere else, so he can't even see what's in front of him because his mind not tuned in. You gotta tune in and really recognize what you're seeing, or you don't even see nothing, because your mind can be an imagination, and that field of imagination can take over the forefront of what your actual supposed to be seeing. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that.
All right, so let me add to you. So you said something about how are you able to see with these eyes? That's a good question. Have you ever heard of the holographic universe?
Is that going with projected reality?
Absolutely. So how this works is that these eyes that what we perceive to be physical eyes, these are not actually eyes. Like my chief teaches, these are actually monitors that's being used to project your reality, right? When you begin to look at reality, right, it's called the observer's effect, right? We're in the quantum field of infinite possibilities. Everything is on a wave. Everything is a wavelength. When you begin to, light moves in a wave. So when you begin to observe light or a wave, what happens is you collapse the wave function And that wave function becomes a localized particle, which we interpret as physical matter, right? The observer's effect states that when you are not observing reality, when you are not observing a wave, it doesn't exist. It's a wave of infinite potentiality. But when you begin to observe reality through your senses, it becomes real. It becomes matter. Now, how we are able to see is that these are not eyes. These are actually monitored, like optical organs that the brain is using to interpret reality. These eyes are connected to a wire, right? You know how the computer screen is connected to wires to the computer box? These eyes are connected to wires called an optical nerve. These optical nerves are connected to your brain. And when you begin to view something, observe something, light photons travel to the back of your eye through your retina, and those electrical signals are sent and transferred as neurons into the back of your brain called the visual cortex. And this is where you're experiencing life at. You're not actually seeing anything outside of you. You're actually seeing the interpretation that your brain is giving you inside of your mind. There's nothing outside. There is no external world. But now my question to you is, what is the brain using to interpret the electrical signals that you are receiving through your five senses? How is your brain able to interpret reality? What is it using?
Touch, the sense of touch. Like all these senses is really wants to touch.
The five senses, what they're doing is the five senses are picking up the electrical signals or impulses from the environment and translating them to the brain. But the brain has to be using something to interpret those signals that the senses is picking up. What is the brain using? Remember, the brain is the hardware of the body. What is the brain using to interpret those signals that your five senses are picking up? Yes, Audemars. Absolutely, Audemars. The brain is using your software, the brain being the processor or the hardware of the human body. The brain is using the software. What is the software of the human body, Energy? The software of the human brain, or that the brain is using to interpret reality or interpret the signals that it's receiving, is your DNA, your genetic code, your astrological program. Your astrological program is the program that God is using to experience you, to experience its creation through you.
I get it, because I said that your cells tell partially the story that should be role playing. Because if I was born with cells that had me blind, I wouldn't be able to see this reality. Based off the cells, based off the DNA. The DNA that I received in this reality plays a part of the story that I'm going to be role playing.
Right.
I got you.
Right, exactly. Your DNA is what's giving you the interpretation, right? You perceive reality a completely different way than I do. But why is that? Our brains are the same. They hardware. But what's giving our brain the ability to perceive reality different than each other? Our DNA, right? In biology,
that's
all living things.
Partially.
Listen. All living things are connected through DNA. DNA is the molecular blueprint for everything. Now, in biology, each cell has something called a genome. A genome is the selected ACT and G sequences or nucleotide sequences on the DNA strand that gives it its particular attributes. You follow me? We are all cells made up out of 50 trillions of cells. And we all have different sequences of genetics on the DNA strand, which is all one, but we all have different sequences which give us our own personalities or give us our separate egos, which is an illusion of separation. But we have to remember The brain is using our genetics, our astrology. That's why we got to study astrology. Science today don't teach us about this. They teach us that astrology is witchcraft and all this, but they're using astrology and astrological transits to tell you about the seasons, to tell you about what's about to happen. We got to study astrology because it is the mechanics of the mind. It is the mechanics of consciousness, like Chief teaches. It's how your mind is able to interpret and perceive your dream simulation that we are in. Appreciate that, Miss Aries. You feel me? But that's the lesson for the day, man. I appreciate you for coming in and you caught it on the back end energy, but I be seeing your lives, man. I'm gonna come fuck with you, bro. I'm gonna come slide in your live. I followed you already.
Same tip, bro.
Already. I see you, guys.
I be trying to keep the decorum. So
That's facts. But I'm about to get up out of here, man. I appreciate y'all for your joining the panel and interacting with me, Divine Empress. I appreciate your reflection. I love myself, all the gods and the goddesses. As usual, man. All praise and reflect the life from the most honorable prophet, Eligio the Christ, man. 3 is free. I love myself. Beezy, you know what it is.